There are no shadows in the Underdark. Only after years on the surface have I come to understand the significance of that seemingly minute fact, the significance of the contrast between light and darkness. There are no shadows in the Underdark, no areas of mystery where only the imagination can go. And perhaps that is why the most dangerous hunters there do not rely on mystery at all, but on certainty, on patience, on the simple truth that those lightless realms remember every decision, every movement. What a marvelous thing is a shadow. I have seen my own silhouette walk under me as the sun rode high. I have seen a gopher grow to the size of a large bear, the light low behind him, spreading his ominous silhouette far across the ground. I have walked through the woods at twilight, my gaze alternating between lighter areas catching the last rays of day, leafy green slipping to grey, and darkening patches where only my mind's eye could go. Might a monster be there? An orc or a goblin? Or might a hidden treasure, as magnificent as a lost enchanted sword or as simple as a fox's den, lay within the sheltering gloom? When I walk the woods at twilight, my imagination walks beside me, heightens my senses, opens my mind to any possibilities. But there are no shadows in the Underdark, and no room for fanciful imagining. All, everywhere, is gripped in a brooding, continual, predatory hush and a real, ever-present danger. Some dangers are obvious: fang and blade, chittering swarms and cruel patrols, but others are spoken of only in uneasy, sly comments within Underdark cities, among those who have lived long enough to fear what the lightless realms gave not to them readily. The deep dragons, little known on the surface world, yet at home in the deep places I have walked, as if the Underdark's deep magic had learned to hunt. While my speculation on these marvelous manifestations shows the Queen of Dragons deserving some recognition, to imagine a crouched enemy or a hidden treasure is an exercise in enjoyment, a conjured state of aliveness. But when that enemy is too often real and not imagined, when every jag in the stone, every potential hiding place, becomes a source of tension, then the game is not so much fun. In the Underdark, even the tunnels conspire against levity, narrowing, bending, swallowing sound, and there are creatures built for such corridors, slender and serpentine, with sinuous necks and limbs and narrow wings, their swept-back structure and sleek tapered heads allowing them to worm their way through passages that would halt a broader terror. One can pass a crack in the rock and call it nothing, and then wonder later if that thought would haunt him later. I made this guide to the world for those who would delve into the wonders and terrors of the Underdark. A tome for the world I escaped, but never truly left behind. One cannot walk the corridors of the Underdark with his imagination beside him. To imagine an enemy behind one stone might well blind a person to the very real enemy behind another. To slip into a daydream is to lose that edge of readiness, and in the Underdark, to be unwary is to die. Worse, some hunters do not need line of sight at all. The depths carry sound in strange ways, and the stone and soil can transmit the tiniest betrayals. Accustomed to the sound-distorting darkness, a deep dragon can catch the sound of the merest cave cricket skittering up a wall on the far side of a vast cavern. So what chance has a breathing, blinking traveller who believes silence in the realms below means safety? This proved the most difficult transition for me when I went back into those lightless corridors. I had to again become the primal hunter, surviving every moment on that instinctual edge, a state of nervous energy that kept my muscles taut, always ready to spring. Every step of the way, the present was all that mattered, the search for potential hiding places of potential enemies. I could not afford to imagine those enemies. I had to wait for them and watch for them, react to any movements. And yet, the Underdark teaches a crueler lesson than vigilance alone, for not every enemy announces itself with movement that can be watched. There are hunters who become the corridor, who slide through it like a thought, who seem, when the faintest light catches them, to have been born maroon and then darkened through older centuries into deep, rich purple, nearly black, as if time itself has pressed the color of the depths into their scales. There are no shadows in the Underdark. There is no room for imagination in the Underdark. It is a place for alertness, but not aliveness, a place with no room for hopes and dreams. Even scent, which on the surface might be a comfort, the pine, the rain, the clean breath of open air, becomes another thread of warning in the deep. Some speak of a musky odor reminiscent of Ophidians, and the thought of it is enough to tighten the muscles. For those same deep dragons are not merely hunters of claw and wing, they are accomplished shape changers, gaining the ability to assume different forms as they age. First, a legless winged snake form to pass through narrow tunnels with dreadful ease, then a humanoid form to move about among the other races of the Underdark, to hide their enormity behind a familiar silhouette, and in a place with no shadows, where the imagination is meant to be dismissed, such a deception is almost a kind of mockery. Deep dragons live in caves, caverns, subterranean vaults, and other Underdark regions, where they remain safe from sunlight, which harms them. The surface world may barely know their name, but the Underdark knows their patience. And patience, in that realm, is often the deadliest weapon of all. Drizzt do Year of the Prince, 1357 DR, from Starless Night, Chapter 3. Deep dragons, also known as purple dragons, are possibly the least well-known of the chromatic dragon family. Most surface creatures have no knowledge of the existence of deep dragons. Many of those that have heard of purple dragons dismiss such stories as myth or misconception. After all, in the darkness below the earth, who can say whether a dragon's scales are purple or black? Black dragons rarely live far underground. The deeper explorers descend, the more likely they are to encounter a deep dragon than a black. People who live permanently in the deep hollows of the earth know purple dragons as an all-too-real and much-feared threat. The dragon is a talented manipulator of other creatures. It achieves control through lies, misdirection, and direct mental domination. It might seek control for any number of reasons, including sheer delight in bandying its power about, a desire to form a bulwark of allies and thralls for security, or curiosity about newly discovered tunnels or crevices leading to unknown areas deeper below, for which recruiting bands of disposable explorers might serve its purposes. As much as purple dragons enjoy controlling other creatures, however, they enjoy the thrill of exploration even more. Even as explorers discover new lands on the surface, they consider the globe's surface a paltry expanse compared to the deep volume of the world's interior, a space containing orders of magnitude more possible. In such a vast space, wonderful mysteries await discovery. Whether they follow tradition or answer a call in their blood, deep dragons delight in exploration more than any other kind of worm, especially if that exploration leads deeper into the earth. Deep dragons relish the discovery of places never before trod upon by sentient creatures, or at least not visited for ages. The cunning dragon might negotiate with people who offer information about undiscovered locations deep in the earth, but only if the dragon believes that its negotiators can provide more maps and information in the long term than it can obtain by dispatching or dominating them immediately. If such a negotiation succeeds, a purple dragon can prove a reasonable short-term ally. In fact, purple dragons have allied with disparate groups of drow many times over the centuries, including one Lyriel Benre, who made a friendship, surprisingly, with a two-headed purple worm, a story I found most fascinating. Purples have also allied with undead, sometimes laying clutches of eggs with wraiths or shadows nearby to watch over the hatcheries. Purple dragons favor prey caught in sunless seas and subterranean rivers. They consume blind albino fish caught en masse, but especially like to season their diets with kuo-toas and aboleths. In a pinch, a purple dragon will hunt down living creatures of any other kind, making their lairs in the depths of the Underdark. Deep dragons are nightmarish cousins of chromatic dragons. The warped magical energy of their subterranean realm gives them the ability to exhale magical spores that instill fear and scar the mind. Deep dragons' black and grey hide is smooth like a salamander's, and their eyes are pale. As they age, their spore breath causes fungi to bloom across their skin, especially around the head and neck. Their wings are attached to their front legs and can fold in close to the body, allowing deep dragons to easily maneuver through relatively narrow tunnels. Hoarding secrets is one of their core focuses, delighting in knowledge of far-off lands. Many seek out new insights and tricks that they can use against other denizens of the Underdark, preferring social manipulation and crafty deal-making to exerting themselves in combat. Deep dragons look down on any creature that isn't useful to them, though they are willing to bargain for knowledge they lack. When a purple dragon must fight for food or information, it attempts to spy upon its intended targets long enough to learn something useful before announcing itself. It might even let the targets of its observation go on their way. If hungry enough, feeling territorial, or wanting to play, however, a purple dragon takes its quarry by surprise, if possible. Purple dragons keep to the peripheries of caverns during fights. They especially like to lurk near bolt holes, in case events turn against them. Ideally, a dragon suborns one or more targets to even the odds with its dominating gaze, seeding chaos and fear in the ranks of its foes. These dragons are most often encountered in the upper and middle Underdark, to a depth of perhaps 7 miles, particularly near drow cities. They often work with drow, which is a seemingly perfect partnership to my brethren, as many of my kind are cunning manipulators. Their role in this exchange often serves as guardians in exchange for regular food. Captives, slaves, and condemned criminals. They are fierce rivals and enemies of cloakers and mind flayers. During the wars between the primordials and the gods that followed the world's creation, I suspect the world learned its first, harsh lesson in the world of Faerun. Even now, when I stand at the lip of some yawning fissure and feel the cool, damp exhale rising from below, I cannot help but think of those ancient blows that split the earth and taught it to hide its magic, its secrets, and its pain within the world, and especially where my heart resides, in the lightless corridors. On the surface, twilight softens the world into gentle uncertainties, letting shadows stretch long and playful across the ground, inviting the imagination to wander beside me. But down there, in the Underdark's hush, the scars remain unsoftened. No silhouettes to dance, no comforting ambiguity, only the hard truth of darkness and the disciplined vigilance it demands, where aliveness is too easily traded for survival. During the wars between the primordials and the gods that followed the world's creation, the primordial, known as the King of Terror, attacked and slew Io and the dragons defending Io. According to one account, the dragon deities Tiamat and Bahamut rose from the two halves of Askarath's corpse. Another legend claims that Tiamat and Bahamut were among his eldest creations and received their father's divine spark upon his death. Io's remaining children found their position less secure than they had believed it to be. Forced to adapt to a changing world, they chose diverse philosophies and lifestyles to reflect their individual natures. A number of surviving dragons chose to follow Bahamut, called the Platinum Dragon, and they became the first metallic dragons. Over the ages, as Bahamut upheld justice, opposed evil, and liberated the oppressed, creatures other than dragons came to honor him as the deity of justice, protection, nobility, and honor. In the fullness of time, he has become better known for those attributes than for his association with metallic dragons. Today, all metallic dragons revere Bahamut as their originator, but not all of them worship him. The remainder of Io's surviving dragon children threw in their lot with Tiamat, whose hatred of the world that killed her father colored her every deed and attracted dragons given to rapacity and suspicion, the chromatics. Chromatic dragons have become the best-known dragon family thanks to their often antagonistic relationship with humanoids. Like Bahamut, Tiamat matured into a deity, appealing to more than just her dragon kin. Today, as the evil deity of wealth, greed, and envy, she urges her followers to take vengeance for every slight. Most chromatic dragons follow this dictate. Purple dragons live in caves, caverns, subterranean vaults, and other Underdark regions, where they remain safe from sunlight, which harms them. In those deep places, the air is always cool and faintly wet, the stone close on every side, and the hush is never truly empty, only waiting around the next lightless corridor. They can hear distant noises transmitted through rock and soil, and I have often wondered if that is why the Underdark feels so unforgiving. Because in a realm without shadows, even sound becomes a kind of silhouette. Deep dragons never venture from the deep recesses of the earth except, on occasion, to emerge in the Shadowfell. That alone speaks volumes to me, for the Underdark is already a place where imagination must be kept on a short leash, yet even so, it is not always dark enough for such creatures. Some deep dragons take residence in the sunless realm, especially where rifts exist between worldly caverns and Shadowfell regions, and I find the thought unsettling. A passage from one lightless world into another, as if darkness itself has its thoughts as magnificent as my own. Because deep dragons like to explore, they can stray from their permanent lairs for great lengths of time, and in the Underdark, elsewhere, is not a comforting word for us drow. Older deep dragons with sufficient resources seek scrolls of linked portals and similar rituals that allow them to travel quickly between their lairs and the frontiers of their subterranean expeditions, so that even distance, which on the surface can feel like a kind of safety, becomes unreliable in the deeps of the lightless lands. A deep dragon's permanent lair is a honeycomb of rocky hollows connected by narrow, winding tunnels. The passages catch the ending rays of Faerun, tension within the corridors, and many choices. And choices are where the Underdark preys upon the unwary. Many tunnels lead to dead ends, or traps, and require real feats of exploration for anyone new to the lair to find a way through. Sometimes deep dragons make their lairs in the structures of previous Underdark residents, if the chambers and connecting hallways are elaborate enough for the dragon's taste. And there is a particular chill in that notion. Life built atop older life, stone remembering every potentiality of these monsters. A deep dragon lair might share the same basic structure as the sapphire dragon, but instead of being formed from stone, it might consist of chambers hollowed out within a fungus network growing near an underground river. I have walked such places, where pale growths climb like slow flames along the walls, where the scent is rich and earthy, and the mind's eye moves from one possibility to the next, and where the sound of water is not soothing but constant, masking other, smaller noises that might matter more. When I walk these passages, I remember the tales of the deep, that a deep dragon festoons the narrow, twisting passages between the lair's fungal walls with magical and mundane traps. And in that tight, winding dark, traps are reminders, pressed into the mind with the same certainty as the stone itself. You do not belong here, and the Underdark will teach you that predatory nature. One cannot walk the Underdark and not understand the prospect of wealth. Deep dragons like wealth as much as any other dragon, but their favorite items are rare maps and cartographic tools, especially tools with magical enhancements. That preference feels strangely fitting. In a world without shadows, where imagination must be denied and vigilance must be constant, a map is a curious thing. Power in my hand, a way to make the unknown known, and the Underdark does not forgive those harmful thoughts. Deep dragon eggs incubate for approximately 25 months. the first 8 inside the female dragon. An average clutch numbers about 6, and about half of the eggs hatch into healthy wormlings. Deep dragons might lay their eggs in places where animate spirits are bound to the area. Such spirits might touch growing wormlings with their Shadowfell-derived necrotic resonances, and I imagine those young lives beginning not with sunlight and open air, but with the weight of stone above them, and the chill of old, lingering death in the walls. Darkness as their born inheritance to the pain of their type, not as a circumstance of their chromatic nature. Deep dragons grow into youth after about 9 years. They become adults at about age 190, and elders after about 1,100 years. They become ancients at about 2,200 years. Reports of deep dragons near the world's core tell of some that reach 3,000 years or more. Such time is difficult for me to truly grasp. My own life feels both fragile and fierce in comparison, a brief candle carried through endless corridors. When a deep dragon dies, any creature that sleeps within the vicinity ever afterward has fierce nightmares. In the Underdark, rest is already a precarious gift, and the notion that death itself can poison sleep is a final, bitter contrast. No light to console, no dreams to restore. When a deceased deep dragon experiences environmental diffusion, the result is an area where small mushrooms spring up and the dreams of sleepers are troubled. It is as if the dragon's presence refuses to be only memory, as if even in death it hunts, not with tooth and claw, but with the quiet sabotage of hope. And so, the Underdark remains what it has always been to me, a place where aliveness must be earned, moment by moment, and where even the darkness has a lineage within time's records. There are no shadows in the Underdark. There is no room for imagination in the Underdark. A place for alertness, but not aliveness. A place with no room for hopes and for dreams. Only through this recount have I come to understand that seemingly distant thought of the deep dragon and the significance of the contrast between them and their cousins in the world above.